You got to work out how good you want to be and how badly you want it. But unfortunately, if it was that chill, then everyone would win 20 Grand Slams. So if you want to be that deadly and that good, and how hungry you want to be that, like, then you're not going to be a normal person.
Welcome back to Mindshift with Luca and Jonty. Tonight, we're super excited to have two special guests with us. We have Kimon, Aylett, and Nick Price, who started recently a digital marketing agency called Blackswan-Digital. So I'm not going to introduce them, but I'm going to hand over to Kimon and Nick. So welcome on, boys, and we're excited to have you here.
Yeah, how's it, guys? Thank you so much for having us on the podcast. We're obviously very excited to chat to you guys. Blackswan-Digital is a digital marketing agency born out of the COVID pandemic. Two completely different guys that on different paths that had to be brought together in order to pivot in a pandemic. It's been a great ride, and we're glad to be in the industry now.
Yeah, as Nick covered it, the agency was started this year in 2020. Essentially, we focus on small to medium-sized businesses, and we try to utilize their online presence via an array of marketing tools, which include social media, websites, marketing campaigns.
It's super, super cool to have you on. Jonty didn't mention it, but this is actually episode 13 as well. I just wanted to throw that in, lucky number, episode 13. From my side as well, welcome to Mindshift. Nick, you mentioned I want to ask just off the bat, you mentioned that you guys sort of came together off two completely different paths. And I found that really interesting when I was obviously doing my due diligence on you guys, just doing a bit of prep for this. I saw that obviously, Nick, you're from a completely like sports science background, right? You've studied completely sports science, and then Kimon had a sort of financial management. I know that then he did a bit of an internship in investing and did a couple of other, honors courses in digital marketing. So, I mean, this question is basically directed at Nick. How did you find yourself moving from sports science to starting a digital marketing agency?
Yeah, so obviously I'm still busy with an MSc in sports science. So I'm busy with my master's at the moment, but part of my master's was real life testing on actual races within trail running. And obviously those races got cancelled, which meant that I had to then adapt my master's. And to cut a long story short, I couldn't wait for sport to get back on the horse because of COVID. So I needed to do something different. So I had all this time throughout the year, and I said, look, I'm not going to sit and wait. And I just went in and I carried on learning, and I did a long course, and almost exactly the same as Kimon did. And I came out with, I'm not going to say a bigger passion, but an equally sized passion towards sports science as I am now towards digital marketing. I feel like I've picked it up quite nicely, obviously taking it and running with it at the moment. Yeah.
100%. I love that because, it's, and like, you couldn't really have put your finger on like when sport was going to come back, in the moment. Obviously now we're sort of seeing things sort of return to normality. There's a bit of the first vaccine got administered yesterday or today in the UK, and things look like they're sort of returning to normality come beginning 2021. But back in the, rewind 6 months ago, the narrative wasn't really looking that way. So, big ups to you for pivoting and sort of joining forces with Kimon.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's been a completely unpredictable year, and just the idea of wasting time and waiting for an industry, it didn't work for me. So I thought just take the gap and go learn, carry on learning.
Yeah, 100%.
Gents, I wanted to butt in because I think what really stands out to me is the name Black Swan. And, I want to know, obviously, the times and the story to how you started the business kind of led you to the name. But, I mean, I want to dive a little bit deeper. How did you come up with that name? And then, how did you pitch kind of your whole business model from that name? Because I saw on the website, it's quite a cool way how you've linked the name to what you do. So do you maybe want to explain that a bit?
First of all, please
Yeah.
tell me that the name goes deeper than just having read Nassim Taleb's book, The Black Swan, and understanding what a Black Swan event is and then naming it after that.
No. We, yeah, I mean, so basically, look, this whole year has been a black swan moment for everyone. Um, Everyone can sit the whole day and tell you 101 things that have happened in their life that's been unexpected and completely out the blue. You can't predict these moments. I mean, Luca, you in London, look how you've panned out with, what you've been doing.
Completely.
Chance, your year's been obviously you couldn't have predicted it. And I think for us, the way it happened, I don't think we sat going, what's a good name for an agency? How can we describe what we do? It was a black swan moment. And, there's a lot of people out there that are doing what we're doing. You hear the words digital marketing, online this, social media this, and you cringe a little bit. It's very saturated. And we thought, okay, how can we come across not just unique, but like very unique? I'm talking big lake, lots of white swans, and there's this one black swan. And I mean, basically what we try to do is we were created like that. So we essentially are a black swan. And for our clients, current and potential, we try to create black swan moments for said clients so that when they do a campaign, when they do a website, I mean, yeah, we can do the tech, we can do the image, we can do everything else. But at the end of the day, how do they poke out in this online mass of social media accounts or competitive brands in their industry? So the name internally, externally just feeds through everything. And I mean, you'll see a lot in this podcast. We'll talk about it. Every single day we are building like from what we applied the previous day. So the Black Swan name, the logo, everything, the K that's backwards, everything has just the colors. I have to give credit to old Jackie, my mom. She did during lockdown give me like the inkling, kind of the little push start towards trying to go for something different. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially how it came across. And we found that just it's fitted with also how we present ourselves, and it's catchy. So
oh man, I love that idea. I love that description. And like, so it obviously then goes deeper than just the name and sort of the circumstances that it arose out of. It goes more to how you are obviously how you're going to approach your clients and sort of a mindset that you guys are adopting towards your digital marketing. So,
I mean, basically a black swan moment definition, because some people actually don't even know what it is. It's an unforeseen event, basically characterized by extreme rarity, and you don't see it coming. Then for us, and I'll try and look at my computer at our description of who we are, but yeah, we've tried to apply that definition to how we as an agency started. But some people do associate black swan moments with negative occurrences, because a black swan moment, it's severe. You can obviously make it a good severe or bad severe, but it's something intense. It's not just like an outlier on a graph. You're talking about like a COVID pandemic, something very extreme and out of the box thinking that how, you look back and you go, wow, no one saw that coming. So that's kind of going deeper. And I mean, when we try to sell to clients, when we do presentations, it comes through in everything we do.
Yeah, I think also that the focus needs to be on rarity, because in an industry, especially in Cape Town, where you've got numerous digital marketing agencies, you've got numerous digital marketing freelancers, it's saturated and everyone's doing the same thing. Well, to an extent, everyone's got more or less the same formula. So it was about how are we going to come up with a new formula? How are we going to come up with a formula that's going to make clients go, oh, wow, and have that black swan moment. And it's the rarity within the event of producing a quality of work and a quality outcome of work that is meant to make them have that realization that, as Kimon said, in a massive marketing lake of white swans, you're not going to point out the white swan. You're going to point out the black swan because of its differences. And those differences are how we go about doing our work.
Completely. And it also makes me think, you know, I was actually just, okay, as one does during the day, you scroll social media, procrastinating. And, you know, so many of the ads now that come through on Instagram, Facebook, all your main platforms are all these guys trying to sell digital marketing. It's all digital marketing. It's all increase your follower count. It's all of the running ads constantly. And obviously having this, knowing I'm going to be talking to you guys tonight, I think we can all you can disagree with me, but I hope we can all agree that those can come across quite spammy. So you guys have sort of laid the foundation. How are you actually going to differentiate when you are coming to clients?
Yeah. So basically each client needs a different thing. Each client has a different target market. Each client needs to appeal to a certain percentage of the population. And what some people are doing is just sort of that mass marketing where it just gets sent out to everyone. That's why, for instance, you could be sitting here and scroll through Instagram, and every fourth post is an advert, and it suddenly comes across as, I don't even know, Kruger National Park air balloon tour. It's got nothing to do with your interests.
Yes.
But because it's being marketed as in your geographic region, for instance, or because of your age, or because of what iPhone you're using, it shows up. And I think it's a balance between getting as much reach as you can, but it's a targeted reach. We're looking so specifically into who are we going at and how are we going at them, instead of just saying, go global.
I think one of the biggest things we do that, and also let's just put something on the kind of out there that we as, you know, Luca, I was listening to your video describing the podcast on your YouTube channel, and you put it out there that we're not experts, we're not billionaires, we're still young. So I think that's also quite whenever people ask, it's like, how do you do this? How did you find that out? How do you be this and that? It's weird for us to actually say, because you know what, we're very new, and we're just explaining step by step what we have done and how it's worked. So going into that, instead of going to the clients and saying what we can do, this Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, great book.
Great.
Yeah, great. Yeah, literally, that has helped a lot in the thinking of Black Swan, where a lot of people, especially in Cape Town, if you listen to them market themselves in coffee shops, the client doesn't say anything. The marketer, the social media guy or woman, they do most of the talking. And at the end of the 45 minutes, actually the client or potential client says, actually, I can't afford it or whatever. So what we do is we go, what do you want?
Yes. Okay.
I want people to come into my restaurants. Okay. I want people to buy online. I want people to know who I am. I'm new. And then with that, because we are niche and because we're flexible, and the reality is we're two 24-year-olds. We don't have kids. We're not married. We're still living under the parents' roof. So we're able to commit and be hungry to the extent where we can do things that I don't think certain agency may be able to do, with going, what do you want out of this? Because they don't know social media. They don't know geographic targeting.
So, I mean, that also just leads on to the question, do you think that your age actually gives you a bit of an edge? Because, you know, clients see you as someone who understands social media, you know, maybe a little bit better than someone older.
It's don't be taken for a fool because you're young within an industry. So everyone now graduates and you're up here at graduation ceremony, but then that after your 6 rejections of your job applications, and then eventually you get one, you're almost timid when you go into an industry that you're passionate about, and you get shut down because of your experience or your lack thereof. However, you've just done 5-6 years worth of studying exactly that. So you can't jeopardize your knowledge in an industry that you already are part of. So me going into, and this was specifically directed, you can do it for any industry, but you're there, you've done it, and now it's time for you to go bang. But what I saw happening to me was that I was getting shelled in because you don't know everything. Da, 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 da. And that sort of got to me on quite a deep level. So my New Year's resolution was, I'm not going to be taken for this fool, because older people within the industry think that they are top dogs. And I'm not saying that I'm not open to, for instance, knowledge. People are going to have experience and I want to learn that experience, but I can't be shut down because I'm young.
I think we find, Jonty, going to your question, that it depends. You know, sometimes I think in the beginning of the pitch to the clients, I mean, how old would you think we are? Well, 28, 29, 30, you don't know. And then eventually when it does come out how old we are, I think it's like either they're going to play on your naivety. You know, I was speaking to an accountant yesterday and he was taking me through certain expenses, and he gave an expense amount that was extremely high to do a certain service. And I'd done that on my own, just like online. So just as an example, he's 24, he just started a company, doesn't know what to do. Let's try baits him with a certain big amount. Same thing with clients. They go, you know, we'll get back to you. We want to get back to you. They don't expect you to email them back that morning and say, very nice meeting you, would like to stay in touch. Or you directly call them, because they think you're nervous, you're scared, you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do. And then, Jonty, the other side of the coin is, okay, you guys must understand this whole online thing, because you're a millennial, you're always on Instagram, you never speak to people in person, you're always on your phone. Therefore, he's wearing AirPods, he's got an Apple Mac, he must know what he's doing.
I mean, all of us have grown up with social media to the point where we're following on a social level the newest trends. Now, to be able to take those trends and implement them in businesses is I think very important, but it's almost second nature to us because we've been doing it with our friends. But now, how do you make that sort of business related? And I think that does give us an edge. Yeah,
completely, guys. And I love the themes that are coming out from that whole description you're putting forward there, because a couple of things that I'm picking up is that first of all, you're playing the humility card, right? You understanding that you guys don't have 20 years in the game. You have just started. And, you know, I think if someone would look at you guys and see that you're being humble and actually saying, I don't know can be one of your biggest strengths, because that shows that to your clients or whoever you're trying to build a relationship with, that you are honest, right? And, you know, ask Jonty, I've been talking a lot about the laws of marketing. I don't know if you guys have ever read that book. It's sort of
many times.
It's sort of a Dale Carnegie-esque book. It was also like written in the 90s, and these laws of marketing have sort of stood the test of time. But basically one of the laws which applies so nicely to what you guys are saying is called the law of candor. Basically, and you even mentioned my intro video that I put on the YouTube channel, was that was candor. And what you guys are doing is candor, acknowledging that you're 24-year-olds and being like, we don't know everything, but we're going to give it our best shot. And like Nick saying, it's second nature to us. So we'll give you a different perspective. Basically, you know, being honest about the fact that you may not do as good of a job as whoever the big marketing agency, Ogilvy or whatever. There's strength in that. And that's how you build proper relationships. And then the other fact that you guys, you know, one of the first things you guys said is that you don't do the talking, you listen first to your clients. And I think that's super important.
I think that's huge.
That's huge. That's the biggest value add, because now you stepping back, putting your ego aside and saying, okay, what can I actually do for you? What are your pain points? Let's try solve them.
That's so important, because you can't understand what to do until you know what the person on the ground who knows their business, you know, they actually know what's wrong and what needs to happen. And then from there you can add your expertise and be like, this is how we can solve that problem, right?
Because of each person needing something different. I think that is just fantastic. And just going on to just quickly back to that topic of admitting that we don't know everything. I think we just have to go back and think that Ogilvy probably started exactly how we did.
Exactly.
So give us a couple years and we'll be there.
100%. Give me 10 years. That's what I always say.
So-
Give me 10 years.
Oaks, what I wanted to ask you, just for the sake of our listeners, give us an example of some of your clients, just so that, like what kind of industries are they in, who are they, and then, what do you think? I think maybe Nick, we chatted about this the other day a little bit, was, is there a little bit of a gap in the market that you're filling that relates to maybe these type of clients? So there's kind of two questions in there, but I think they follow on.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, our clients, we at the beginning, you're never going to be too picky of who you're going to go, of who you want. Put it that way. You need to get off the ground. So, for instance, our very first client was Oakleaf Cafe in Knysna, and to say that they have taken off is an understatement. And I don't know if it's because of us. I like to think so. But yeah. So, for instance, the industry that's obviously restaurants and cafe, also boutique shops and all that jazz. That's Oakleaf. Then you're going on to the next side. There's a transport company that does charters and tours in Knysna, based in the Garden Route, operating all over the country, type of thing. If we go a little bit further, luxury tourism. Tafakari Travels is one of our newest and probably one of our biggest to come. Also, one of the brand new tourism industries, but making waves, big waves. And yeah,
I think so. Basically, to round up what Nick is saying, when you start anything and you're trying to look at what kind of clients you want, at the end of the day, you obviously want to earn money, so you don't quite know how to go on about it. It's boots on the ground, walk in the streets, knock on the door. Hello, Mr. Fisherman Company. Hello, Mr. Restaurant Company. And I think restaurants and coffee shops was a good start. You can go in the garden routes where we predominantly are, got our clients, the owners are there. When you walk in and you ask, hi, we want to do social media, and you're speaking to a waiter, that's not going to work. The first thing you got to work out is the owner here or the person who's going to chat? And we've been nice in the garden route, small town, is that 10 to 1, the owner's in the back. They come out, and I mean, it's, as Nick was saying, we've just teamed up with Flexiroam Africa, which is a data solution, data roaming solution that you stick on your SIM card that you can travel with. We potentially going for boutique hotels along the garden route, spas, and I mean, cosmetics brands, clothing brands, small, big.
You're basically saying that you don't serve one industry, or you don't serve one sort of client base purely because of the fact that you're starting out, and obviously you need to get customers. Without customers, you don't have a business. This is my next question. Why the garden route?
So we I don't want to say we saw this gap, but I'd previously been staying in Knysna during lockdown, and I just, through getting exposed to the industry, looked at people's social media accounts and websites, and there people think, people know where we are, they walk past us, blah, blah, blah. We don't need something like a Facebook page. And then COVID-19 hit, and everyone was closed and everyone was not happy. And when you go into a place like Knysna, it's not like a big city where everything's in one road. It's all over the place. Literally earths, little gems in the hillside. And when I take you to one of those places, you go, my goodness, like I never knew this existed. Exactly. So then it's not like you have 101 Nicks and Kimons running around the place, obviously trying to, steal this brand to that brand. And, it's simple there. People will give you time to speak. It's a teething process as well. You know, they're smaller businesses. We're learning, as we've discussed. Now, when you eventually move to maybe a bigger city, overseas, international clients, at least now you've had a few experiences with a small coffee shop. Now you want to speak to a big hotel group. You see, like, you can learn from, you remember that small coffee shop we started at, how we did this and that. We were late for the meeting. That's not a good idea to be late for a meeting with a big shot CEO of a hotel group. Like, the coffee shop lady was like, "Ah, don't worry, I'll make you a coffee and a rusk." It's not going to work.
Just a disclaimer, we've never been late for a meeting.
With Knysna is the fact that, like, or, you know, any smaller town up the East Coast away from Cape Town being the hub of the Western Cape, is that, like you say, things are slow. You know, people just have their little corner shops and they have the regulars, and there's not much, you know, if you can say, it's sort of untapped land in that sense, the sort of digital marketing sort of sphere there. Like there's room to sort of move into which without any friction, you know, versus if you had to try to break out in Cape Town.
I think, you know, you can come from different angles. Us starting like at a very quiet kind of area where we can again find people who are going, yes, let's have a chat, come inside. Then going, okay, we've started, we're getting somewhere. And then we don't have 3-4 people, you know, coming with us saying, you know, like, we're going to take you on, etc. We're saying, have you heard about Facebook? And they're going, no, we haven't, you know. And
my follow-up question to them would be, how have you not?
Literally, our second ever meeting with a client, I was chatting briefly while we were waiting for the coffee, a bit of small talk, saying, so how do you go about your marketing and that sort of thing? He says, I'm still looking in the classifieds. I'm still looking in the newspaper ads. And I'm just saying,
and these are great companies. I mean, brands, businesses, they're really good businesses, and you know, they make money, you know. So they are small and they are simple, but they have great stories. And again, the owners are present, which is what's so nice, is that here in Cape Town, you know, you got your managers, you got your waiters, you got waitresses, and the owner's somewhere, I don't know, like
off-site, probably not even at the restaurant.
Exactly. Whereas in Knysna, it's quite nice when you walk into a place and you can actually speak to the person you started this piece.
It's personal.
And then through that, you don't waste an hour speaking to someone who loves your idea, but they say, well, actually, I'm the wrong person. You got to speak to the manager, or not even the manager, the owner. And again, it's pretty interesting then getting to understand the different mini industries in the garden route. So yes, accommodation, restaurants, hotels, Airbnbs, spas. You're going to come across a lot of those, but
a lot of like the travel and leisure industry, because that's what the area caters for.
It's the tourism industry.
If you wanted to give a more or less like demarcate more or less what industries we've been looking at, but again, we learn from each one, and it's just like at the end of the day, people go to the garden route for holiday. So you're looking at quite an interesting flow in the influx of consumers. And now with this beautiful year of COVID-19, you know, who knows what, like, suddenly university goes back in March. So students only go back 3-4 months down the line when they finish their year. Suddenly you got people who can't travel overseas, they're all going to come to the garden route. I mean, we had a client who said, how do you know this is going to happen? I said, go on booking.com, try to find a house in Knysna, good luck in December. So I think that it's an interesting time for us to look at an area like that during this year. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's been a teething process, and the garden route has helped with that process.
I wanted to go into a little bit, because you guys said, you know, you do the digital marketing a little bit, but you've also found you're doing a little bit of consulting on actual, you know, how they should run their business as well, which I think is quite cool.
So I think when people ask, how can we improve your online? there's aspects that I find missing within their business that both benefits their business as a whole, but is extremely marketable as well. So where I think, how can I improve your online? My mind is ticking into business improvements as well. And it's small things. It can be, for instance, I don't know, we're worried about menus because of COVID. Well, then get a QR code. Do you know what I mean? Get the QR code so it can go full digital. Everyone's got their cell phones. It's giving out free Wi-Fi anyway. You might as well do that. Have some available, maybe on a wall. And that way that my mind sort of thinks, okay, I need to improve their online, but I need this sort of offline to make the online more marketable.
We also, going back to maybe how we come across niche and our competitive advantage is that we're very holistic. So if it's offline with the online, the social media with the website, everything needs to complement each other. And I think maybe due to just our nature as a pair, we're not going to just go, we are going to fix your social media. We're going to think, okay, what is your social media doing? It's funneling people to your physical space, or is it funneling people to your website? What do you want out of it? Then you go to the website or you go to the physical space. And there's no point of making, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's their business, but you make a, banging social media account with great content pillars, everything feeds into each other. And then it feeds the customer to the website, which does Aero 404, for example. Obviously that's still in our sphere, but what happens with Nick, for example, is that will feed into something non-digital marketing related. So we've had a few experiences in the garden reach where clients don't really like opening on a Sunday or a Monday. And through our social media accounts, consumers have been complaining like, why aren't you open on a Sunday? Why aren't you open on a Monday? And, we can't help ourselves that we will feed an insight going, I think you should open on these times. And then they do that and they come to you and go, I don't know what's happened, but we've got so many consumers coming in. And I mean, it's, I think they also listen to us and they go, wow, these guys sound like they've got great ideas.
I think that's the key word, is that it's ideas. We're not going to sit here and pretend to be business gurus, but in a space where they've been doing the same thing for so long, and they come so with it and they've hit this like margin of earning and they're like, great, I can pay my staff, live a great life, but it's almost like there's certain gaps that new insight, someone that comes in new, that's fresh ideas that are not, that's all it is. It's ideas. And I think it's that external person coming in, sitting, having now something to do with your business
and looking at it holistically.
This is so interesting because also like it makes me think, and Nick, you say how your brain goes to 5 places at once. I feel like that happens to me a lot as well. So at the same time, like as soon as you say that, I'm like thinking about how, like in terms of your business, and this is super interesting for how you guys are going to build out your business. Obviously, you're still in a very early moment. And I mean, just humor me in just bouncing off this idea with you guys, because this is what it's about. I guess right now, stuff like that, when you're talking digital marketing with your clients and something comes up like a sort of an operational maybe pain point or a flaw that they're experiencing, but they don't know how to deal with, and you guys come in and solve that, how are you sort of thinking about that in terms of your own business? Like right now, is it just a value add that you're happy to do for them? And that's obviously then building brand. And then long term, are we thinking maybe you're building out a little consulting arm of your business? Like how you think, because this is where my mind goes straight away. How are you guys thinking about it?
Going into this and having these ideas pop up and then them taking those ideas and you can physically see them making money off your idea. Okay. It's extremely value added for our brand. Okay. Because we haven't charged them, but going back to the bottom line is we have to be monetizing everything.
I think it's also weird because we want to showcase the brands that we have started with. So then we obviously want them to look great, because then when someone sees, oh, what brand did you do online presence work for? And you go brand X. and they look at brand X, and brand X is doing great, good cash flow, everyone's happy. And then you actually see an idea that you mentioned in like a meeting with them, making money for them. So it's a great feeling because you're like, okay, that's cool, that's awesome. But then you look at each other and you go,
why didn't we make money out of it?
you know?
So it's, I think, I said monetize everything, but I think definitely as far as consulting goes, it's going to have to become a thing, because we can't be giving out money ideas. We can't be giving out for free ideas that are non-digital marketing related, that are going to improve your business just to make your online look better.
And I think it's hard for us to then say, oh, we are consultants and give us a label, because obviously we've covered this in this podcast. We young, we new, etc. So if someone's like, oh, who are you to give us all these insights? Are you like, what's your background? And you go, well, I don't really have a background in the restaurant industry, but there's obviously a big demand for your product on a Sunday. I would open on a Sunday and then close on like a Tuesday because it's quiet. It's a simple observation. It's nothing. I'm not a professional in this industry. And I think that comes from the holistic approach. We look at a brand. We're not just looking at your social media. We are looking at everything, and we are speaking to everyone. While I'm going to speaking to the owner next, walking around the property, talking to the gardener, speaking to a customer, looking at the little this, that insight that he does, he goes, Kimon, have you noticed that blah, blah, blah? And I go, no, I've noticed that as well. So we come in like, the word holistic is just my favorite word when it comes to the way we approach things.
Yeah.
And I think also with clients going like, how does this social media, how does this intangible thing that I can't touch add value? And you actually guide them step by step, saying, well, what baby boomer, whatever generation they're in, this is how it works. There is a person living in this town, and they say coffee, coffee, coffee. And then they go on their iPhone, on their Facebook to see their grandchildren, and they get this nice little advert saying coffee shop, bloody blah. And then 5 days later, they look at it and they go, what a coincidence. I saw this. And it's holistically looking, who was the target audience? Baby boomers. Where? This town. And it feeds into each other. We've seen it in the restaurant that we've sat in for a day or two. We've looked around. It just, you come from all these angles.
You know, I love the word that you're using, holistic, because I believe, and the more I think about marketing, digital and, business as a whole, marketing is a holistic thing. It does become a holistic thing because, the way you present your restaurant, for example, going into what you guys are dealing with or seeing, the way the hostess greets guests as they walk into the restaurant. Is she kind? Is she nice to people? Does she pay them attention? The way owners talk to their staff, that can become a marketing thing, because if there's I'm going to go with a weird example, just to extrapolate an example, but say a business executive or a CEO or an owner of a restaurant talks to their employees badly and does something that gets taken, that ends up getting taken to court, and there's a big suit, and then the media covers that. That's marketing. That's bad marketing for your business, right? So everything, I love what you're saying, is that everything that you are touching, and even though you may call it, people may label it consulting, but it is sort of marketing. I wanted to just add a counterpoint, pushing back slightly, and getting your thoughts on, Nick saying you want to monetize everything, obviously putting ideas out there that you aren't necessarily getting paid for. If I could come in from a different angle and say that maybe doing that for your early clients, and as you're building up your business, wouldn't you think that that's going to build you a very big and solid brand, because you're going to have so many people shouting your praises because you added so much more than you added so much more value than what you charge them?
I think in the beginning of our kind of start with our clients, yes, we realized, sure, we doing this and this for them, but we're actually doing this, that, and 5 other things. And it gives us our clients that become, I don't want to say like family, but it's a bit like family where I don't want to say friends, I want to say family. You know, friends, I don't want to use that kind of wording, but you look out for them, and through that, they, you know, acquiring clients is one thing, but like keeping current ones, for me in the business that I've just learned, that's vital. And if right now that's what's keeping them and keeping them happy, great. Yes, that's, if you want to put that into the value. And I think that's where, when we do price, we might go, is this a bit too steep, is whatever. We say, actually, no, this is extremely reasonable considering the amount of time and effort. If you're talking about online, offline, insights, walking the person's dog around the corner, I don't care. Like, it's, you also want to take an advantage of, but I think, Luca, what you've covered is that value that you get with us because of what stage in our lives we are in, and just how this year has thrown us into this sphere. And as we grow, obviously, we're going to have to adjust things to keep this competitive advantage, if you want to call it that. But we don't plan to do it. We do it because it's right and it works for what we do for the clients.
Yeah. So some marketing individuals will get given an account and have nothing to do with the offline. Whereas we come on and we've got everything to do with the offline, because that's how we are looking at marketing your company.
I wanted to add on that because, Dick, I think that's almost where your gap and where your value proposition comes in the market. Because, you know, like you were saying, the big firms, you know, they're probably too expensive and they're too specific on what they offer. Whereas you come in and you offer, like Kimon likes to say, a holistic service that is very value add for the clients. And so, and that also leads on to what Kimon was touching on now with pricing, which I also wanted to touch on, is like, how do you think about your pricing? Because, you know, maybe also some of these clients, you know, for them, price is quite important.
Yeah. So I think what we could add to the word holistic is flexibility. I think that's also a big part of how we go about things, because set packages are fantastic. We offer set packages, but what we're offering as well is we go in and we say, tell us what you can afford. Do you know what I mean? And because it's the beginning stages, you can't go in with a 20K proposal. They're going to look at you. I mean, a nice coffee shop, or do you know what I mean? A little pub is going to send you away 1,000,000 times if your prices are too high. So it's almost like going in there with a conversational tone and saying, this is what we do. We want to help you. Okay. We have to pay certain bills, which means we have to charge a certain amount, but we're not going to go and rip you off. Okay. We don't have the time within the industry to be able to do that right now. And I'm not saying that we're ever going to exploit anyone, but what I'm saying is it's flexible. We're able to take into account what they can and they can't afford.
With answering from pricing to how we are Black Swans ourselves and how we have the niche offering, you have your finger on the consumer pulse. And if that is offline, online, how they're doing on each side, or they've just fired 2 of their staff members due to the economy and COVID, you see it. And, you know, Nick might say to me, let's price at this. And I go, you know, Nick, I don't know about that because of these following reasons that I've picked up. And he might say, well, actually, Kimon, like, look at where they're going. Look at what she was charging. I think we can ramp it up a bit. So it's a bit of a touchy-feely kind of process, and everyone has the different debates, go high, bargain low, blah, blah, blah. But I think the main thing we get across to clients is, what do you want? How are you doing? And how can we get you involved? So there's this kind of like your brand story. There's the current reality, and then there's this solution reality, which is like the dream. The current reality is I've got no consumers. The solution is I've lots of consumers. How do you bridge those two kind of dreams to a reality to a dream? And okay, that's going to cost a certain amount to do that. As Nick said, you got to pay the bills, you got to, school fees. And okay, obviously we love what we do, but we also want to, be able to.
But guys, I love the angle you guys are coming at from this, because it just like confirms to me that fundamentally, I believe that what you guys are doing in that way, and you just summed it up, how you are going to clients and saying, what can we do for you? That is the way. And, to make this very practical, very practical insight, that is how you start a business. You ask yourself, what can I do for my customer? Not what can they do for me to satisfy my own financial interest, right? And that is why I think you guys have a good chance of winning this game, because if you keep that mindset of putting your clients before you guys are going to do extremely well in the marketplace.
We thank you, Luca. Those are very kind words. We have found that like where trust starts kind of I don't know what the saying is, but where you have trust, money will flow. I've just noticed that I'll be sitting at a coffee shop somewhere here in Cape Town, and you'll just hear someone talking to a client, and they talk without talking, and you sit there and you're like, I don't even know what you're trying to sell this person. So instead of going, we are going to build an online presence through a social media account called Instagram. We're going to get you followers and promote your posts, and we're going to create content that complements your brand. It goes something along the lines as, we're going to enhance your aesthetic appeal in order that you come out the other end great. What does that mean? Like some creatives, some freelancers, some agencies, they're going to give you completely charged by the hour, where it's going to take 20 hours to do this website. We're going to do £5 an hour, versus project-based. It's going to cost 20K to do the website, for example. So I think it's a nice way where you work out how many hours it's going to take me, and then let's charge per hour. But at the end of the day, you're going to also find yourself going back and forth. And again, with what we found is that the edits that we do for clients, it could be a small thing. Suddenly that takes 2 hours. Now, we've already charged them. So how does that work? So the pricing is definitely a example of how when you're starting, you also think to yourself, are we worth that? Like, we just started. And then you go, yes, we are worth that. We just spent 20 bloody hours on that Oaks content page, and it's looking fine. But again, we're 24. We've just started an agency. We're 2 months old. And then you start listening of other competitors or how much they charge, and you go, sorry, what? Like, you want to charge what? And I think that it's, you start working out your worth. And when you put your price on the table, you look at the client in the eye and you say, like, this is what this is doing, and this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to hold your hand and know that you can call us whenever. You're going to see us all the time, even though you don't ask to see us. We are here and everywhere. And then obviously when they do fork out that certain price, that they feel like there's no cognitive dissonance when you purchase something and afterwards you worry about it. There's a lot of people, they talk a lot to the client, and as soon as the client pays, they're gone, nowhere, gone, cheers, bye. But that post process where the client pays you, send an email saying, thank you for paying us. Thank you for sending us the POP, and then updating them and saying, let's talk in 2 weeks' time and let's just see where we're at. Because
you guys are making it personal. You're adding a very personal touch.
They've paid you, and now you got to make sure that they feel good about their purchase. And again, you're trying to get some monthly subscriptions here, retainer income, for example, for certain services we provide. So yes, get the client. So find the client, get the client to play. There's all different challenges. How do you make sure that person, after they pay you for the first time, is going to go, is that worth it? Like, I see that posting things and I see it's pretty, but like, I could have bought myself a X, Y, and Z with that. And they go, well, you know what? They have explained to us and they're holding our hand. And then you start working out to each other. Okay. Also from a business perspective, how much is the business? What are the expenses of the business? What does it cost to run? What are the expenses here? So that the last 2 months we've made X, we've had to cost of that. And then you start working out, okay, like the last 3 months, the average income has been that. I think the issue with us is that the first 2 months have just been crazy. The expenses and the incomes have just been on the extremes of, it's not like you have 5 clients paying these amounts and these monthly expenses. There's been subscriptions that we've paid for a yearly basis because it's cheaper than monthly. Suddenly now that's a huge expense in the month of October, but you're not going to see that for another year. So I think that you try to work out how much does it cost for the business to run. And over time, after 6 months or so, you'll hopefully start getting an idea of how much does this client cost to run? And then you go, okay, let's charge them for that. Yeah. But again, you're new, we are new, you start like, it's a teething process.
And guys, on that note, talking about pricing and talking a bit about financials, just quite a left field question. Have you guys ever thought about, have you ever said, well, I know it's only 2 months, but have you sort of had your eye on maybe a bigger client, or have you ever thought about potentially ever, working for free for a client to land a really big contract? Has that ever come in?
Our client spreadsheet you'd love to see our client spreadsheet, because we've got current, we've got potential, and we've got the big dream over here.
Okay, cool.
We've got our sights set on everyone who we want, and it's basically, to answer your question, would we work for free to land a client? Yes.
Okay.
Because often it's show me what you're worth. I can come and speak the biggest game to you, and people are going to be saying, "Well, this guy, you can sell me anything," but where's the proof? So sometimes with something that's got quite of a weird, do we need it type of thing.
Yeah. And it's also like showing, giving the client a frictionless way to see what you can do. So there's no like conflict in their mind being like, okay, you know what, we might as well give these a chance, give these young guns a chance, because we're not paying, no money's going out the door. That's not going to cost me anything. There's only upside for them, right? So if it goes insanely well, then they're like, guys, stick around.
It's a process. Pro bono work, I guess, is the correct term. But I think also this is the year of the discount. Everything. I mean, this year you can't get someone just going, yeah, this is full price. Let's go. Everyone's consistently looking for that discount option. That's why during Black Friday, it was just quite interesting, because throughout the year, whenever I've paid for something, I've consistently looked for that sale price marked down. So I think you can't really go into, especially when you are at where we are, the early stage of our business, just go in and say, boom, this is the price. Where you go, I really want this client, and its potential earnings are huge, especially when season kicks off, for example. And you go, tell you what, first month, pro bono, let's show what we can do. Then by the 3rd month, when they're getting clients in, you can say, listen, it's the 3rd month now. As you can see, we've done this and this for you. We would like to charge you a starting rate of X, Y, and Z. I know you, they've seen what you can do. Suddenly that, and those bigger clients, we've discovered already, we've got a few clients that we actually are doing that for.
What I really wanted to ask you guys, because I think, this is also the entrepreneurial spirit within me. Like a lot of the times, people just think about starting a business and they forget about all the admin, the practical sides of starting a business. So things like registration on Subsea, starting like declaring your tax. You guys are gonna have to start, handing in your tax returns. Like what else are the pretty practical things? Starting your website. I know, Kimon, you were saying you had so many issues with, just getting the website up. Like opening a bank account, a business bank account, those kind of things. Chat to me a little bit about that and the process there.
Yeah, no, Kimon's going to vent on soon, but I think it's so real. And you have this great idea, but then there are so many boxes that need to be ticked along the way in order for this idea to be materialized. And we went through months of this process?
So, yeah, basically, if you had to ask the average person on the street, so when you start a business, what do you think the biggest challenges are? They're going to say, getting capital to start it and doing this and that. I can tell you, Jonty and Luca, what keeps me up at night and what gets Nick ticked every day is the smallest, tiniest issues. I'm talking about you've got your domain, which is you've bought the name for your business called X, Y, and Z. And now you want to start an email. And you also want to create a website. So you link that domain to these two things. And people go, oh, that's the challenge. No, that's not the challenge. The challenge comes in randomly on a Tuesday morning, Murphy's Law. How I like to say it, I'm not too sure who's upstairs in the sky, but he, she, it, whatever, they take these, it's like a CIA agent going like, okay, they are currently calling the client at 2:00 p.m. Exactly at 2:01, the server is going to drop them on their emails. Then the Wi-Fi is going to not work. And then the subscription that they want a free trial for that they were going to pay the next day is going to run out. All at once. And then because we're new to this, we're not experts. We can't just click a button and it works. We have to then teach ourselves how to fix the problem. Then you get your bigger, your obvious ones.
So what actually happened there? What actually happened there? Can you tell us a proper story?
It was a typical day where a client, it was with the email. So basically we had got the domain, Blackswan-Digital, and we had a hosting company who hosted the domain, and our emails weren't coming through. So that's the worst thing. We've gone live with the website, and now the clients that we've gone to go pitch to, we've given this email to, can't email us because the emails aren't coming through. So we've done all this work, we've got everything up and running, and now when I do a test email to Kimon at Blackswan-Digital.com, it doesn't come through. And you're on the phone to your hosting company for years and hours and more years. You've had 3 kids by the time you got off the phone, and you still don't have the solution. And then as soon as you fix that at that exact moment, another client calls saying they want to meet you. And then when you meet that client, the other thing that you were supposed to do the next day, suddenly it's supposed to be for that day. And that's not your obvious challenges. I mean, like, for example, every day you're going to have, every day you wake up, and I'm not talking about the challenges like getting back on the horse and times are tough and getting new clients. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm not talking about the obvious ones. I'm talking about such small shit that you think isn't going to fuck your day up, and it's going to fuck your day up. And I'm not even talking about personal. Personal is a whole other story, and as everyone can relate, they've all been at home, they're the things. Again, the guy upstairs will design the timing of that little tiny problem in your business that specifically relates to what you need to use it for. And how that client suddenly wants this at that time, but to use that, you need to do that. Then, Jonty, your obvious questions with registering the business, getting a bank account, whatever, that compared to the small stuff, once you get those things sorted, yes, they're challenging, but you do it, eventually it works. You do it, eventually it works. Bit of perseverance. But once you do it, it's done. And once you sit that extra perseverance, like Luca, yesterday we were talking where you had to research ways how the recording worked, etc. Go in that extra mile. How many times we drove back from Niza 2-3 days ago? He was driving and I was on my computer for 5 hours researching ways of redirecting domains from old to new for 5 hours.
Yeah, I think also
that's not earning you money, by the way. That's not earning you money. That's like just making your business operate, right?
Yeah. So I think what's also quite nice is that no one's taught us this stuff. We've taken a huge plunge into the deep end and we've had to learn on a minute basis. And it is a hugely humbling and very proud moment for yourself when you get that email with your registration number, when you get your tax number. It means, how's it be real? We actually here. And because no one has taken our hand and guided us through this process, and numerous other entrepreneurs would have had to do the same thing, but it's doing the process yourself and finding out through trial and error. If you do it right the first time, fantastic.
We've been fortunate that we've had parents who, in their different industries, if it's a problem with creative, if it's a problem with finance, starting the company, getting the book sorted. My mom, Jackie Aylett, she's started a company, running a company called Flexi Rome Africa. And for the last 2 years, she's looked at us the last 2 months and she's just like, same. It's a very interesting experience looking at your mother who's also going through what you're going through. My father being in the financial services industry, going to him for things. Nick's mother being a creative graphic designer. It's been fortunate that we've had people to ask, but again, they don't know the answer when the hosting company doesn't know. Everyone's got you feel like you're on the operating table and you've got 13 doctors around you. One says you got a sprained ankle, the other one says you got appendicitis, and at the end of the day, you work out that you've actually got a stomach bug. So I think that extra push that you do on your laptop at 4 o'clock in the morning, working out a way how to, let's say, get that code on the website to correlate to that graphic you're trying to do. You're not going to figure out how to do that. And people are going to ask, how did you learn that? How did you learn that? And you're going to go, well,
it took 5 hours of a drive from Niza to Cape Town, but we worked it out.
And that's how we learned X, Y, and Z. I mean, we went to Niza now for a business trip, look at clients and get some new ones. And we discovered new technology when we got there the first day, played a game of tennis, went for a walk around the block with the Cocker Spaniel. And I said, Nick, I'm trying to work out a way to do this analytical software on websites. And boom, we got the focus, which Niza does bring us. And we discovered it. But obviously people are going to go, how did you learn that? No one's actually showing us how these things work.
The deep end taught us.
So John, it's everything from registering your company to knowing how to do a domain for your client for their website.
So guys, this is a good segue, and it's very interesting. Obviously having to deal with all these challenges and constantly, every single day having small fires to put out before you've even gotten in front of your clients on actually making money. So, and like I said, I do want to go into a bit, touch on a bit of mindset, because I feel very strongly that if you do want to perform at your highest level and you do want to succeed at things, I've definitely learned this year that it all starts up in here and in your mind, and half the battle's won there. So, and I actually saw an interesting LinkedIn post that Nick, you put out, I think it was like a month ago, about having to juggle different priorities and stuff. So I'm wanting to ask both of you, are there certain mental models, habits, routines that you've had to put yourselves and entrench yourselves into to sort of keep that mindset, keep yourself sane, and just, or any even practical organizational tools that you've used to deal with fires? So, 4 p.m. doesn't roll around and you haven't actually done anything that's adding value to your business.
I think for me personally, you can ask Kimon, the one B word that I say every single day is balance. And for me personally, balance in every aspect of my life has to be as on par as it can be in order for me to sort of work efficiently. And that's everything from work to personal to anything that sort of comes along. And
is this balancing your priorities? Obviously, what elements are we talking about here? Like specific elements of that need to be in balance.
Priorities, but also balancing needs and wants. I think that when you spend 6 hours or 6, 8, 10 hours in front of the laptop, now my work is up here now, but for instance, my mountain biking or my exercise for the day is now super low. This is starting to get a little bit sketchy now because I've been in the front of the computer for 9 hours. So then it's almost like I need to get these two back onto par. So I think for me personally, it's balancing absolutely everything that I have within my life. And there are various aspects, friends, family, girlfriends. I mean, it's all going to influence how you work. So I think if I can personally keep that balance as best as can, that's how I like to run things. I don't like to go too detailed into how I manage the little fires, because if the fires get put out and Nick's life is balanced, then my work is going to be fantastic.
Okay.
And yeah, I think Kimon's obviously going to have his different ways in which he does it. But as long as I can keep it simple and get the work done with a great quality, and my life is more or less in balance, or in balance, then that's sort of how I cope. Yeah.
So are there any, like, Nick, to sort of just go deeper into this and carry on? Is there any particular habit that you have to do aside from like exercising every single day or going on a mountain bike? Is there, and it can be very weird, like something you just have to do every single day?
For me, it's a switch off. And when I was in Sweden on an exchange, just about every half hour, more or less, they have a thing called a fika. And fika means no work, just coffee and chat. So within the day, there's some places, like at the university that I was, that in that department, a bell would ring. And that means get off your laptop. It means that's it. Go outside and have a chat and have a coffee, get your fresh air. And I think what I like about that is, in half an hour of offline, and half an hour of sitting outside, and half an hour. So taking that break for me is a necessity, whether I think about work or if I think about other things. It's just sort of switching off. I don't want to hear my phone ting. I just want to sit outside and actually have a coffee and think.
And you're giving your mind space, your brain space to think about things and to put things into perspective.
You can look at something for hours and not know the solution, or you can design a protocol the whole day and still not be happy. And you know that there's one thing that's stopping this whole process from being passed, and you're not going to maybe think of it staring at your screen. So taking that time, getting out of the situation or that actual environment, 10 minutes, half an hour, that's my thing. Switching off, phone goes off, nothing, boom. And Kimon knows that. I'll just say meet up, bang. And if there's an email that comes through in that 10 minutes, obviously Kimon handles it. So that's just my personal thing. And it's just very short period of switch off.
I love that. I love that. And Kimon? Any weird habits? Anything you have to do?
Besides kombucha juice, and then followed by his croissant in the morning, walking his cocker spaniel, and then pretending he does yoga. I think, yeah.
If you ask me, that's a solid routine. If you ask me, to be honest.
I think what's helped a lot with being based in the garden route with our clients is when Nick's houses in Leisure and mine's in Belvedere Estate, and both are extremely quiet. Leisure's got a bit more of a vibe, but when you go to Neisner, you go there to reset. Ironically, for us, it's kind of been opposite, with business being in Neisner and chilling being in Cape Town. But when you go to Neisner, the highlights of your day is going for a slalom, ski, playing some tennis. We both can hit the tennis ball, which helps.
Very well.
Your exercise. Thank you, Jonty. Kindly noted. And walking the dog. And the focus for me there is just, you got to have focus. And, I'm going to obviously quote Buffett here. So Luca and Jonty, get ready. But it's a bit like Omaha, Nebraska versus New York. Whereas Omaha, Nebraska, it's quiet. There's no noise. Noise is the same for me. I come to Cape Town and it's just distractions. As I think Luca was saying last night, there's always something. Whereas in Neisner, I just feel so focused. And obviously you got to have balance. I think the balance in a normal life is the balance in what we're doing as altered. Nick has some pretty cool analogies with the percentages that you put into something. So now, obviously, coming back from Neisner the last week, you need to take a day or two just to reset, because otherwise you are going to burn out. But that it's not like, oh my gosh, I want to work the hardest. But when I'm looking at the screen like you guys, you're the only thing I see here in this room. When I speak to a client, it's like a silhouette. You only see them, and
Tunnel vision.
tunnel vision. And I think for me, the balance that, like for Nick, for me, it is the small things. I think people underestimate with the power. I've got Microsoft to-do lists, which help me a lot with
yes, that's to-do list.
checking everything. I've got obviously there's a thing there. What's that app? Headspace.
It's a brilliant app.
I've just got back into guitar. I learned 3-4 chords that came back from grade 7, and asked Nick, 3, 2, 1. There was an agency called Blackswan-Digital. Like it helps for 5 minutes. You walk around the block. You got to box smartly with your time, because there's obviously a certain amount of time, and your girlfriend might want to call you for 3 hours that night, but for you need to watch that game of tennis, or you need to read your book, and that you have lots to do the next day. So I think it's also saying to someone and getting the right people in your life to understand that, and going, he's had a hectic day. He likes to hit a tennis ball at the end of the day. Therefore, let's give him an hour. And in Eisner, we don't have anyone rushing us to do things, or to eat, or to sleep, or to whatever. It's just the two of us and the Cocker Spaniel, of course, the angel investor. Actually, also have an equity squirrel as well. But anyways, another story for another podcast. But so I think that focus, as you come to Cape Town, and I've got nothing against Cape Town, but it's just nice, and it's cost effective for us as well. It's the expenses are low. As I said, we do have holiday houses there, so we do have bases, and we also got obviously our boats in the water. So it's just getting on that water and having a ski, or just going to the beach. And it's not just like taking time out for yourself, but it can be a minute. I think everyone does the exercise. Luca, you said like what's other than, but writing as well for me is a big one. I write a lot. There's a lot of things I think I do that even Nick doesn't know I do to help with my stress levels. My girlfriend, my family, I think no one knows other than the Cocker Spaniel. But it's the smallest thing ever, but it really does help.
And I really love this. I find this so interesting, because I believe I honestly believe, and I've learned so much about myself from this year, where that the battle in this sense, in high performance, it's one off the field. It's about what you're doing around your main thing to make sure that you perform at the highest. And a question when you were talking about, Cape Town, like, it's so funny how we were talking about this last night. And I think it's so true, traveling to Cape Town soon to come and see family. I've been reflecting a lot, and like, based on how I've been living in the UK versus how it was in South Africa. I like, I was thinking just last night, I was like, no wonder how I was in Cape Town, because I never had time to think. I was always rushing between this and that, and seeing this mate and going to this family function. So I think there's a lot of truth in that, and you have to find space, and you have to find space for yourself, time for yourself, like you say. And my question was that, have you guys had to now since you're starting a business, this is serious. This isn't a joke, or this isn't like a hobby. You have to go all in on it. Have you guys found yourselves having to put in boundaries in your relationships, whether that's with your family, girlfriend, mates? Have you had conversations like that?
100%. Look, obviously everyone's different. So girlfriends, families, everything. But if you want to date, or if you want to be friends with someone who is doing, if you want to be the number one tennis player, if you want to be the number one investor, you can ask their friends and their families and their girlfriends. It's not a very 1-2 relationship. And you don't want to be like, you don't want to say, I'm working now, I cannot speak. You want people to almost have the intuition to say, things are looking quite tense. A client just called him and he looks quite worried. Therefore, I know we were planning to do this at 4:00. Maybe let me just keep it on hold. Because that extra admin of telling people, if it's domestic workers, fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, dogs, like it just doesn't work. Because back in the day, you went to an office, you had your family emergency now and again, but other than that, when you're at the office, you were unreachable. Whereas now, especially with working from home and working in other people's spaces, it's 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon and everyone's like, it's great weather, let's go to Buckhoven Beach in Camps Bay. And then you say, well, like, John, you go to work. Now people go, like, he's in the office. You can't tell him to leave the office to go to the beach,
Yeah, that is the nice thing, actually.
But now
like at home, you can be you can be distracted. Whereas at work, you're at work.
Yeah, so I think and then taking time for that person or those people and saying, since December's coming up, I think that the hardest part for me, and Nick, you can obviously take some airtime now, but the hardest thing for me is that I can't tell my loved one, I'm going to work really hard for the next few hours. And then for the following few hours, I'm going to have free time. Because if it's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, after this podcast with you guys, something's going to come up. Tomorrow morning, something's going to come up. And I wish I could put everyone in a room and tell them exactly how things are going to go. But in this kind of industry where we at, your balance, your boundaries, they are consistently changing. And if it's your girlfriend, your friends, you start working out people that get it, and they might not necessarily do what you're doing, but that you don't actually have to say anything, and they do get it. And unfortunately, people that don't get it, then you start unfortunately having to just, if you really want Blackswan-Digital to work, or if you really want to be the best tennis player in the world, you've got to then be with people that understand he does wake up extremely early, or he or she does do this weird habits whenever they are stressed. And I think with COVID and working from home and just the way our patterns have changed, I think everyone around the world can talk about how things have interrupted them. But specifically with what we're doing, it's not normal. It's people want to do it. Some people do it. But when you start doing it, it's a great problem to have. But when the clients start flowing, it gets more complicated, because now you're doing better in the business, but now your personal life and your other things start. So you go to bed feeling great because you got a client, and great because this is working. But now your person one, your person two is upset because you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And then you're like, so it's, I think I'm interested to see how Nick kind of answers this question, but it's definitely a balancing act.
But Kimon, sorry, just before Nick gives his answer as well, this is super interesting because you talk about how people, you expect people to sort of have, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth and say expect, but you said that you'd hope that people have intuition to see that you are very busy and flooded with work, and that's what you're prioritizing, and therefore act accordingly. Basically, that's what if that's what I understood. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, surely that makes me think, surely that's all the more reason to have those hard conversations, set those boundaries, and then, like you were saying, then sort of, if someone's not willing to understand, then you have to sort of take action and maybe sacrifice that relationship and put in proper boundaries.
I think the boundaries consistently also, like, I didn't predict the intensity of how we be doing in the second month. So I come to you the first month, I say, hey darling, I'm starting an agency with my friend. Yeah. Like, I'm sure it's going to be hard and we'll eventually get clients. Suddenly in the first week, you get a really, really cool client that takes all your time the first week. I didn't see that coming. So that boundary for that week goes, listen, it's a very hectic week coming up. We're trying to get this client done. But in the next week, I might have a lot of free time because things have calmed down a bit. So I think what's also refreshing is when you do meet those people that do just get it. You could be doing a digital agency, you could be doing a clothing company. They look at you and they get it. You speak to them and you just say, today I had this, that, and I don't know what it is, but it's almost like a unspoken language between two parties, where I was speaking to you obviously last night, Luca, and obviously our conversations, Jonty. I find in South Africa, people, and again, not to stereotype the country, but just the narrow-mindedness of individuals when it comes to out-of-the-box thinking. And suddenly when you go overseas and you experience the kind of open-mindedness of, let's say, the European people, they get it. Those boundaries, those balancing acts that you're talking about. Whereas here in our country, we place a lot of emphasis on going in the sun. We have a great climate, etc. And then the people that do it right and that do focus, they think they're the bee's knees. So what I'm trying to say is that what we're doing with the kind of balance and the boundaries that we're trying to set, it's extremely, as I said, I can't tell the person that boundary because it's going to, I can't foresee it.
But I mean, it's you can't foresee what might happen, but I think this brings up a very important challenge that entrepreneurs are going to face when you are starting your business, when you are, trying to start something that's important to you, that isn't, like you say, like a lot of, and I think, like you said, like a lot of South Africans, at least that we interact with, a lot of our social circles, I think that's what it comes down to, not generalizing about South Africans, but rather the social circles we find ourselves in, and, from our schools. When you do something like this, do something that's not normal, that will take up all your time, it's important then to not distance yourself from people, but you have to sort of accept that if someone doesn't understand that you may be stuck at work till 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the evening, that's how it is. And that's what it takes if you want to be the best.
You're essentially also dancing to your own beat. So your beat's very different to what other people around you are dancing to. So I think that, I think I've spoken a lot now about this topic. So, but basically, no, I guess what I'm trying to say
Surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say that
that's what you're going to.
And you can't fool yourself if you want to get into this game of starting a business. And how good do you want to be? How deadly do you want to be? Do you want to be Roger Federer, or do you want to be number 59 in the world? Tell me. Because 100%. A lot of people after winning 20 Grand Slams go, oh my God, how did he do it? How did he do that? And I'll tell you how he did it. He was 4 o'clock in the morning looking how to divert domains to another website. So I'm saying that, and his wife and his kids and everything, understanding that that's what he needs to do to be that good. You got to work out how good you want to be and how badly you want it. But unfortunately, if it was that chill, then everyone would win 20 Grand Slams. So if you want to be that deadly and that good, and how hungry you want to be that, like, then you're not going to be a normal person. Like, eventually you'll get balance once you've worked out everything. But if it's a partner, if it's a family member, if it's a friend, they need to accept that Nick Price and Kimon Aylett are not normal human beings right now. You guys are similar. Right now, after work, you're doing a podcast. That's not normal. Normally, we'll just go to work. You go in that extra niche mile. We're the same. It's like 9 o'clock night in South Africa. We're on a podcast. It's been a long ass day. But you're not normal. And you can't expect to have a normal balance with every single day is just not normal, business and personal. So you want to do Black Swan things, you're going to have a Black Swan lifestyle.
It's literally, if you want to get abnormal results, do abnormal things. Do abnormal things to get abnormal results. But Nick, also from your side, the relationship sides, managing friendships, from your perspective, how's that worked out?
I think for me personally, everyone in my immediate vicinity, being my family, have always known that starting something has been my biggest drive. Whether that was in sports science, or whether that was in digital marketing, or that was in an account, you know what I mean? Whatever I decided to do and to focus on, starting something was my own goal. It was my only goal. So when this came about, from the family side, I had only full support. And I've continued to only get full support because they know that. They know that I'm putting my head down because this has been a goal that I've been trying to work towards for a very long time. So I've had that support from the family. Everyone knows that. They understand how stressful it is. And yeah, other relationships and that sort of thing, girlfriends and stuff, I've had the support. Not to say that Kimon hasn't, but I'm saying a very understanding support. Whereas we packed up and went to NASA for 4 weeks with like a day's notice to the family, to the friends, to the girlfriends. And that was a very crucial time in Black Swan's start that needed to happen, and we needed to be in Neisner, and we couldn't have them there because we needed to do a Wolf of Wall Street 4 weeks. We needed to
it's nothing in Neisner that's saying like come to Neisner, there's lots of clients, there's lots of things. You kind of get there and you look at each other and you go like,
what now?
What are we doing? And then your girlfriends also like, I don't understand, like, why did you leave? Like, why are you there? And then Luca, you sit there and then you go, do you hear that? No, it's silence. It's your brain ticking and thinking. You don't get that yet when you got your girlfriend yapping in your brain to go to the Starbucks.
And it's also like your family. You know, it's not like you guys are going there to soak up some sun and put your feet up. You know, you're going there to work. You're going there to strategize.
And it's turning into Cape Town feeling like a holiday and Neisner feeling like Cape Town. It's completely starting to swap over. But I also think what I was just thinking about now is that every one of our support systems has started their own thing.
Yeah.
Listen, that makes a huge difference because they all understand. Then you get a mutual understanding.
So
you know?
Every single person that we've asked for advice or has offered advice has started their own thing. And we are well within a startup like click, to be honest. And whether that's family or friends or girlfriend's family, you're surrounded by people who support startups, who start their own thing.
I think also with when we're in Neisner, like you guys understand, we talk Black Swan 24/7. And obviously when you're around us, you know, as a family member or as a friend, I mean, Jonty, you saw us briefly on the weekend at a social gathering, and I mean, Black Swan's going to come up in the conversation, and between 100%. Nick and I, and we don't get tired of it. It's
all I could hear is, Kimon, you were saying, Nick, you talk too much, bro.
I think we if you think we talk too much like that, I mean, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting having a beer after a long day of craft, and
you're Nick still talking business.
And it's not just talking business. It's just like you look at each other and you just go, really? Yeah. And it's just that click. And
I mean, some of the like our ideas have come at 2 o'clock in the morning when we are absolutely pissed.
And it's not like I have this great idea, man. It's almost just like the whole day, every second, every hour, the whole week has led. So when someone's like, oh, you're so lucky you had that idea, or you're so lucky you started this, there's no luck in that. Like, it's seconds and hours of your thought process and thinking. And I think what's very important, which maybe we haven't covered in the podcast, is Buffett often writes about having the right partner. If it's the person you marry, the person you do business with, having the right partner is a big difference because you bounce ideas of each other. And Nick knows when I'm walking, like today we had a bit of an incident with a client. I got thrown into the fire. He was on the phone to me. You know, immediately I know I can call him before the conversation and say, what the fuck should I do here? And he's going, okay, let's look at it like this and that and whatever. And he knows what I'm thinking and I know what he's thinking. And after the conversation, he was hard to go. And because you can't talk to anyone about it. No one gets it. You know, someone goes, oh my gosh, you know, like, oh, you're right, you had a tough day, whatever. But Nick is the only person, other than my Cocker Spaniel, that I can just bounce ideas off. And what I'm trying to say is that it's weird though that your partner, your best mate, okay, we need a break from each other, obviously, after 4 weeks in Neisner, let's be real.
Yeah, I can imagine.
On this podcast, he's going.
I'm leaving after this podcast.
I'm just going to have a beer outside my home. But yeah, I think...
but it's interesting, Kimon, just, you know, you mentioned you guys talk Black Swan 100% of the time, and you constantly do, and I can imagine, because, I mean, it's the most important thing. It shows you passionate about it. Yeah, and it shows you guys are passionate about it, and obviously, how can you not be? And, you know, where I'm going with this is that I want to ask about your guys' friendship, right? Because I know you are good mates to begin with before you started a business, right? And I had a similar scenario last year when I started Contivice, the jewelry company, and I started that with one of my best mates. He's still one of my best mates. I'm very grateful for that. But we sort of had to have a conversation at the beginning of that saying, listen, he's also named Luca. So we had to say, listen, Luca, like, how are we going to do this? You know, we have to have some sort of differentiator between when we're talking business and when we're meeting as friends or something. So we sort of set that boundary with each other quite early on. I just wanted to ask with you guys, how have you, I mean, I'm not like, there's no judgment coming here. I'm just purely interested, you know, for anyone else trying to starting their business with their best mate or a friend or someone who's not sort of independent from them. How did you guys, you know, from your own friendship, how did you guys approach that? Have you set boundaries and how you thinking about it? Or is it just chilled and you just talk business 24/7 and it's all good?
Yeah. So basically, Kimon was the first person I met on the first day of my first year in university. So I've known him for absolute years, and we've been through a stupid amount of stuff together. And how that relationship and the friendship actually went was that for first and second year, you couldn't separate us. And then all of a sudden, personal reasons of very external things meant that third and fourth year, I probably saw him twice. And so we completely drifted apart. And then it was, I think last year, Christmas, I see made an Instagram story of him at Under Milkwood on the boat. And I live opposite Under Milkwood. So I said, show me which boat you are and I'm going to walk across to you. I want to come see you. And everyone was on the boat. His family was on the boat. And to be honest, that moment when I came to the boat was when everything just rekindled again.
Yeah.
And then from there, absolutely. And by that time, there was absolutely no talk about anything creative. It was completely what shit I was going through, what shit he was going through. I think it was still honors, back like honors. We're both doing honors or something. And I think when the business side of things starts to come around, I think what's really nice is that we are equally obsessed and equally driven for success. And that sort of drive where you share that mutual want to do well, it makes things very easy to sort out if things do come up, because you're on the same page with regards to your business, that the business has to come first in certain scenarios. Whereas I've changed a huge amount. For instance, Kimon has the best conversation Kimon had with me was, for instance, girlfriend calls and says, let's go for a surf. Okay, we do it a lot. Cool, 100%. And I said to Kimon, look, we're quite quiet. I'm going to go for my lunch break's going to be a surf. And he sat me down and he said, how successful do you want to be? Are you going to achieve more for the business on your board, or are you going to achieve more for your business here? And that was the biggest eye-opener for me insofar as how successful do I want to be? And I'm hugely grateful for that conversation. Didn't end up going surfing, and we ended up finishing a really big task that ended up on us pretty much launching the website. So I think what I'm trying to say is very long-windedly is that we're on the same mindset. See what I did there? And
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I love it, man.
We have the same mindset, and the issues, you can't even really call them issues. We are exceptionally open. We are exceptionally honest. I will tune Kimon to shit, and he will tune me to shit if it's needed. But I think I'll let you speak now.
That communication, that's so important.
It is such an important thing to be able to communicate with your business partner, your life partner, your girlfriend, your mom. Open communication is going to stop shit from happening. If a client calls me and says, Nick, Kimon said this, I'm pulling out, and I hold on to that, and Kimon doesn't know, they didn't tell Kimon that they're pulling out for that reason, that's going to create conflict, because now I say, what did Kimon actually say? Random example. But for instance, openness. We sat down and we pulled out a Word document and we said, what are the non-negotiables? And open, honest communication is the first one that's going to make you successful, especially in the startup period, where there are so many questions, where there are so many things going right and so many things going wrong at the same time. That learning process has to be open communication. And
so you're saying before you guys even started this whole journey, you sat down together and you're like, okay, Kimon, before we do this, let's put it all down on a Word doc, and how are we going to approach? How are we going to tackle this beast?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, we've got the Excel spreadsheets, we've got the Word documents. Everything's out with regards to how we're going to be successful. What is the ethos? What is needed to be successful? What is needed to actually get off the ground? And we try to do everything by the book. We try to do everything properly in the beginning so that there's no shit. So if we know where we stand, then the path forward is very easy without conflict. Disagreements, chat about it. I mean, fuck. Like, we're 24 years old. We're sitting outside having beers until 2 o'clock anyway. Chat about anything that's coming up. As long as you are able to be open with someone. If I can't tell Kimon something for some reason, that's when I know that he's no longer my business partner. So it's always got to be about how well can you communicate and go forward.
Just a quick, we are in the digital market. We're talking digital marketing, and we in that sort of world right now. So 2 questions, very quick questions. I want a sentence from each of you with each question. So first question is, from your guys' perspective, from your personal brand perspective going into 2021, and for your clients through Black Swan, what do you think, for everyone out there, what is the biggest social media platform going into 2021 that people need to be paying attention to?
The two biggest ones are going to be LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram for the reach. Absolutely everyone's on Instagram. Not as many people are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think, is a completely underrated site that needs to be utilized by all businesses of all industries. And some people say, I'm a restaurant. Do I need LinkedIn? Of course you need LinkedIn. Everyone needs LinkedIn. It's a professional platform to be seen by professionals, and everyone's on the same page on LinkedIn. So for me, it's expansion, it's Instagram, and it's LinkedIn.
Yeah, love it. Kimon, from your side?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with big fat Instagram, but I think next you can't ignore LinkedIn. I think also the tools and the trade secrets in these little social media platforms that we're coming across are just unreal in how we can get into that client's consumer's wallet. And I think Instagram, every time you go on it, there's a new update. So it's consistently changing, but I know confidently with Instagram, we can do things that will make the clients very rich. Whereas LinkedIn and Facebook have come more of an informative, connecting space. Whereas Instagram, I can play a bit more, if that we can play a bit more. But who knows what's going to be the new trend in 2021 with, maybe a new TikTok platform, etc. But specifically, I think video is huge. I think people reading long captions and looking at photos. I think if you really want to grab someone, you do a 30-second video, for example, instead of a static post. So I think video content is going to be massive.
And I guess that's maybe like now we're talking TikTok, short form, exactly. 10 to 30-second videos, which we've seen how that platform's blown up. So
short attention spans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, thanks for that, boys. So, okay, final question of this very, very successful Mindshift episode. You guys are the second pair of guests that we've ever had on the podcast. So I'm extremely happy to have had you guys on. Thanks for sharing your insights, sharing your experiences, providing really practical tips and practical insights for anyone else going through this. We caught you in an early moment, so it was really cool to get your experiences. But my final question to both of you, I want one sentence from each of you for any other person, any entrepreneur, any person trying to start their own, be it digital marketing agency like you guys, starting their personal brand, starting another business, starting their own podcast. what would you say to people trying to break out into the market? What would you say to them in one sentence to shift their mind to a better place?
Just launch it, make it perfect later.
Focus. Yeah.
Hey everyone, before you go, I just wanted to jump in here and say on behalf of Jonty and myself, thank you so much for watching that episode. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed that episode of Mindshift, check out some of our others. They should be around here somewhere on the screen. Also, subscribe to the channel and give this video a like for the YouTube algorithm. Till the next Mindshift, bye for now.